The most dangerous place for a man today is in the workforce, in the workplace, where women are running. It's more dangerous for a man in the workplace when women are running than it is for an unborn baby in the belly of a woman. And that's a dangerous place nowadays. Amazing how evil is trying to conquer good, and it using all the right people who are wrong in order to bring it in. All the wrong people in the right places. Did you hear that this weekend, I guess, was Rosh Hashanah? That was on Saturday. That's a Jewish holiday, I'm being told. It's the Jewish New Year festival. Oxford is reporting that Rosh Hashanah is the Jewish New Year festival. Watch this from Inside Edition.
Rosh Hashanah is one of my favorite days of the whole year. It's a holiday on the Jewish calendar that begins usually around the fall months, where you blow shofar, this ram's horn, and you make a sound punctuating the year, saying, we're going to begin again. Rosh Hashanah is actually a 2-day holiday, and I take from that I have so much to celebrate and actually so much to let go of from the year that just ended that it takes some time. The most common way that people observe Rosh Hashanah doesn't happen in the synagogue, it happens at home. And the meal right before the holiday begins is the gathering of friends and family, and there are various traditions, including taking pieces of an apple and dipping it in honey and saying, may the year be sweet like this. The greeting for Rosh Hashanah, if you see someone who's in that zone, is you say, Shana Tova, may it be a good year. The extended version of that is Lishana Tova Tikatevu V'Techatemu. May you be written and inscribed for a good year, because one of the metaphors on Rosh Hashanah is that God has a book of life. And my biggest prayer for everybody, especially me, I guess, is that I be written in for one more year of life. And so my wish for you when I see you is that you have that blessing too.
Isn't that amazing? Did you know that, Hassan? Are you like a real Jew, or?
I did, yeah.
So you knew about it?
I did.
Did you participate?
I did. We blew the shofar horn, like with that horn that man was blowing there at the end.
Right.
We did a little shofar blowing, and that's why I'm observing actually today. That's why I'm in the blue. This is the Jewish blue.
And so it's still going on today? It wasn't just Saturday and Sunday?
It was, but I'm now observing on the weekday.
What?
I'm observing also on the Monday workday.
Why?
I don't know.
Even though it's just 2 days?
Yeah.
So are you doing that because you just learning how to be a Jew? What the?
Exactly. I'm trying to stretch it out. I'm maxing it out.
And when you say we blew the horn, you went somewhere and did it with other Jews or something?
Yeah, there was a rabbi, and he had his daughters, and they were reading from the Torah, and he blew the shofar for like 2.5 minutes, and I was like, don't pass, because it's kind of a strenuous thing to be doing, like, over time. So I was like hoping he wasn't gonna pass out, but he said, no, for you to make sure the new year.
You can't convince anyone of the truth. Either they want to see it or not. Your whole life has been an illusion. Sean, you take it from there. What's going on here?
So an allegory, it's called an allegory. It's like a poem or a picture or a story that has like a hidden meaning.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a parable. A lot of the stories in the Bible aren't meant to be taken literally.
Right.
They have hidden symbolic meanings. So Plato was a philosopher. He lived before Christ, BC, like 300, 400 BC in Greece.
Okay.
And so he wrote this book called Republic, and in the book he has a story in the book called The Cave. It's known as like the Allegory of the Cave. That's how some people refer to it as. And it's just amazing to see how stories that have existed for thousands of years, are just as true today as they were back then.
Absolutely.
There's a comedian who says that you see the same stories in the Old Testament as you do in the New York Post.
That's so true, man.
And so it's a longer video. It takes a little time to explain exactly what's going on. I think it's about seven minutes long.
This is from Wikipedia. The allegory of the cave, or Plato's cave, is an allegory presented by the Greek philosopher Plato in his work, Republic. Watch this from Philip Williams.
Envision human figures living in an underground cave with a long entrance across the whole width of the cave. Here they have been from their childhood and have their legs and necks chained so that they cannot move and can only see before them, being prevented by the chains from turning their heads around. Above and behind them, a fire is blazing at a distance. They see only their own shadows, which the fire throws on the opposite wall of the cave. For how could they see anything but the shadows if they were never allowed to move their heads? Between the fire and the prisoners, there is a raised way and a low wall built along the way like the screen which puppet players have in front of them, over which they show the puppets. Do you see men passing along the wall, carrying all sorts of articles which they hold projected above the wall? Statues of men and animals made of wood and stone and various materials? Of the objects which are being carried in like manner, they would only see the shadows. And if they were able to converse with one another, would they not suppose that they were naming what was actually before them? And suppose further that there was an echo which came from the wall. Would they not be sure to think, when one of the passers-by spoke, that the voice came from the passing shadows? To them, the truth would be literally nothing but the shadows of the images. And now look again and see what will naturally follow if one of the prisoners is released. At first, when he is liberated and compelled suddenly to stand up and turn his head round and look towards the light, all this would hurt him, and he would be much too dazzled to see distinctly those things whose shadows he had seen before. And then conceive someone saying to him that what he saw before was an illusion. But that now, when he's approaching nearer to reality and his eyes turn toward more real existence, he has a clearer vision. What will be his reply? And you may further imagine that his instructor is pointing to the objects as they pass and requiring him to name them. Will he not be perplexed? Will he not think that the shadows which he formerly saw are truer than the objects which are now shown to him? And suppose once more that he is reluctantly dragged up a steep and rugged ascent and held fast until he is forced into the presence of the sun himself. When he approaches the light, his eyes will be dazzled, and he will not be able to see anything at all of what are now called realities. He will require to grow accustomed to the sight of the upper world. And first he will see the shadows best. Next, the reflections of objects in the water, and then the objects themselves. Then he will gaze upon the stars and the spangled heavens, and the light of the moon. He will see the sky and the stars by night. Last of all, he will be able to see the sun. And not mere reflections of it in the water, but he will see the sun in its own proper place and not in another. And he will contemplate the sun as it is. Will he not then proceed to argue that it is the sun who gives the season and the years, and is the guardian of all that is in the visible world, and in a certain way the cause of all things which his fellows have been accustomed to behold? Clearly he would first see the sun, and then reason about it. And when he remembered his old habitation and what was the wisdom of the cave and his fellow prisoners, do you not suppose that he would bless himself for the change and pity them? And if they were in the habit of conferring honors among themselves on those who were the quickest to observe the passing shadows, and to remark which of them went before and which followed after, and which were together and who were therefore best able to draw conclusions as to the future, do you think that he would care for such honors and glories, or envy the possessors of them? Would he not say with Homer, "Better to be the poor servant of a poor master, and to endure anything rather than think as they do and live after their manner"? Imagine once more such a one coming suddenly out of the sun to be replaced in his old situation. Would he not be certain to have his eyes full of darkness? And if there were a contest of measuring the shadows, and he had to compete with the prisoners who had never moved out of the den, while his sight was still weak, and before his eyes had become steady, wouldn't they all laugh at him and say he had spoiled his eyesight by going up there, and that it was better not to even think of ascending? And if anyone tried to release another and lead him up to the light, let them only catch the offender, and they would put him to death.
Amazing. And you say?
So much to say about that.
That was so deep, I can hardly stand it. It was so amazingly deep and so true.
Right. And, just the beginning of becoming unchained from that kind of situation is starting to question, are those real? Are they not real? Like just posing that question is the beginning of that journey to climb up all those stairs, to see the fire for what it is, to see the fake images for what they are, and then to climb even further up to the real world and see it for what it is.
One thing that comes to mind right now too is not only do we try to point people away from the imagination. Even God said, "Bring all thoughts into captivity. All thoughts are lies. None of them are from Him. They're not true." But most people have been living with those things and the feelings for so long inside the body. They think it's inside of them, but it's inside the body, and you can't convince them, man.
Nope.
It's like trying to convince black people, not all but most, that no such, or even white people now, that there's no such thing as racism. They have heard it. They have seen what looked like it because they believe that it exists. And so the traders, the ones that work for evil, they give them all these false examples of what it is. It's like the shadow thing. And it's not even real, but that's what they see. And you come along and tell them, you know what, that's not real.
Yep.
It's just a made-up word.
Yep. He looks back into the cave. He sees them all giving each other awards for who's the least racist, who's the most racist.
Yeah.
And they're all thinking about the future, and he just sees that competition for what it is. It's like something silly.
Another reminder is they believe that white people are superior. They call them white supremacy. White people are not superior.
Yeah.
But you can't convince the person that believes that white people are superior, and you can't convince them that's not true.
Right, and that's what they call the, racial consciousness. A lot of people in the top try to instill that racial consciousness in people.
Right.
So that's what all they think about.
Yeah.
And really, as we know, it's just another way of talking about class.
Yeah.
It's Marxism, that class tensions.
Yeah.
Class struggle of Marxism. When they say racism, when they say whites versus blacks, 99% versus the 1%, that's just another way of talking about those types of ideas.
Yeah.
And as far as people being disadvantaged or unfortunate, that's what they'll say,
And you make another good point, too. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, just, convincing people that they're poor. Who are you to convince me that I'm poor? They'll remind people all the time how poor they are.
I know they can convince you that you're poor. You never even think about being poor.
Right.
You just walk down the road happy,
right,
drinking cornbread and Kool-Aid, and they tell you you're poor.
Right, and now you're angry. You don't have material things, and you don't even know why.
What a mess.
Something you didn't question before.
Never question that.
And now you're running around angry like, oh, I don't have what they have. I don't have what they have. It's because I'm black. It's because of this. It's because of that.
And you're right, too, in that they're always rewarding one another for lying.
Yeah.
For the illusion. And keep you in the illusion, they'll reward you for it. They have these big events, they give out awards, and they do that. Whoever told the biggest illusion to get the greatest award.
Yeah.
And so you go out there and keep lying.
Yep.
What a mess. And a lot of people don't even know because they watch the liberal media for the most part. CNN and MSNBC and other liberal media, they don't check out the conservative media at all. They don't even know what's happening at the borders. They don't know when you tell them, well, we're being flooded with illegal aliens every day. They don't believe it. I even had someone tell me it was Trump's fault. When Trump didn't finish the wall, so why didn't Joe Biden finish it? They won't let him, they say. And they're like convinced of that. And that's why I say you can't, it's a waste of time to try to prove anything to anyone. It's a waste of time. Either you see it or you don't. And in our country today, in my country, people don't see. They take evil as a game, and they are coming from everywhere. And believe me, it ain't going to end up pretty. And they're not coming for jobs. They're not coming for better opportunities. They're coming now because they're invited to come, and they're getting free stuff. Fox is reporting that a train out of Mexico headed toward the U.S. borders packed with migrants who could be heard cheering while hanging off the side of the cars. Watch this from X. Coming to America. A free ride. That's amazing. So for those who are not watching it live, but you're listening, it's just train boxes of people cheering on, having fun. They're not trying to hide it now because the law said, come on down. The government said, come on down. We're going to give you all a driver's license and everything. And I want you to take note that the Republican representatives, they're not doing anything about anything. They're letting all this happen. And they are pretending that to go after Hunter Biden is more important than anything else. And they pat themselves on the back every day when they think they found that Hunter got this money or that money, while real issues are not being dealt with at all. But they go and they hold a little press conference, they get on TV shows, and they talk about the Bidens. While our country is being destroyed, they're The Republican representatives are not trying to stop anything from happening. They are in agreement with it. We now officially have a one government, and it's all liberal. The Democrats and the Republicans are the same. The money's still going to Ukraine. They're not stopping that. They act like they don't, some of them pretend they don't want it, but it's happening. You got all these illegal aliens coming to our country, and they're doing nothing about it. I don't even think they talk about it a lot. These are not just some poor people under stress in their country, and they want to go to America. They're like refugees. These are not refugees. And Foster's reporting that video shows hundreds of migrants from countries as far as China released onto San Diego streets. Watch this from Fox.
Here you go. You got people coming in now. Take a look at this. A lot of young adult men being let through now. So every person who was just let through is appears to be a single adult male. Brian, if we can turn around really quick. ¿De dónde son? Ghana. You're from Ghana. Okay.
Yeah, I'm from Haiti.
You're from Haiti.
Yeah.
Brazil. You're from Brazil. Got it. Okay, so it sounds like we got a mix of Haitians, somebody from Ghana, saying they want to live here in the United States. Some speak English, some speak Spanish. So
what you're looking at is 3 unmarked white Border Patrol buses. They pull up and they start releasing several hundred illegal immigrants to city streets and sidewalks in San Diego across from a transit terminal. And there was a remarkable exchange between one migrant and a Border Patrol agent as he asked the agent, "Hey, am I okay to travel to Chicago?" And the agent says, "Yep, you're good to go." Take a listen.
You're free to go, you can call, you can do whatever you want. You're free to.
Okay, it's no problem if I go to Chicago.
Do whatever you want. You're free.
You can go wherever you want, you're free. Oh, there's no problem. Telling the illegal alien, oh, you can go. Oh, so can I go to Chicago? Am I okay to go? Oh, you can go where you want, you're free. Did you ever imagine that would be happening in America? That we now have an enemy within. We're being destroyed from within. Oh, you're free. And if you notice, they were all men right there. Military age adult men. What do you think going to happen to the country? I remember seeing this kind of stuff on videos we used to play. It was happening in other parts of the world, not in our country. I never imagined that this could happen here, because I've seen it happen in Europe, where the people were coming from the Allahu Akbar people going into the European countries, and they were reporting how they were raping girls and all kinds of stuff was happening. I never thought that could happen here. And don't let anyone tell you, because they're lying, these are asylum seekers. They're not. They're coming here for free stuff. And just to think, the children that are born today, this is what they are being born into. They're not going to know about America when it was amazing. It kind of reminds me of when I was growing up, the blacks, most of the blacks, not all, but most, were independent thinkers. They worked hard. They believed in family. And the blacks did well. They bought land. They started businesses. They taught us to do the same thing, because they didn't tell you there were obstacles in your way. They just said, get out there and live. Work and take care of yourself. And the generation of young black people today, they don't believe that's true. They have believed the lies about Jim Crow and slavery and systemic racism, and they don't believe that black people used to be free at one time, independent individuals, and not into this black thing. They simply do not believe it. They've been lied to over and over again. CNN is reporting that, so Italy is a little small place. It ain't that big. But CNN is reporting that 7,000 people arrived on Italian island of 6,000. So it's only 6,000 living there, but 7,000 illegal came, according to this report. As migrant crisis overwhelmed Lampedusa. Watch this compilation.
Off a tiny Sicilian island in flimsy boats, migrants from North Africa keep coming. More than 7,000 have arrived in just 3 days, overwhelming the island of Lampedusa and its population of just 6,000 people.
Lampedusa's migrant reception centre is overwhelmed and overflowing. Designed to handle 400 people, it was housing an estimated 4,000 people on Wednesday.
As Europe tries to control the influx, those arriving continue to see this land as their new best hope. This man wants to live in France. I've come here to help my family. I'm going to help my family, he said. The Pope in his Sunday address called the migrant situation a difficult challenge that must be faced together, he said, for the future of us all.
A dumb Pope. It's not a difficult challenge. Just send them back. Put the wall up. Put the military around the board and stop it. If y'all doubt me as to what's going to happen, you better talk to the whites over in South Africa. And according to Citizen Free Press, African migrants in Lampedusa are now building roadblocks as a protest against Italian authorities. Watch this from local term. Doesn't it look like Africa already? Amazing. So they're now building roadblocks against the people that live there who are trying to go there and deal with the situation. But the wife let them in. They went out on the water and insisted them, y'all come on in. Amazing, huh? I don't know what happened to the whites, but they used to be strong in the good old days. How do you think America became America? I want to show you another example of how they're destroying our country, and that the human beings who are running the government are no different than the human beings who are watching the government destroy. It's the same spirit. If you really look around in your world, your little world, big world, however you are, you see what the government is doing. If you're not overcome your anger, you're doing it to others too, and they're doing it to you. It's no different. You just see it on TV with them and not on TV with you, but it's the same spirit. Chuck Schumer and others are helping to destroy the standards in America of any kind that's quote-unquote good, right? AP is reporting that Chuck Schumer said Monday that staff for the Chamber's Sergeant at Arms will no longer enforce a dress code on the Senate floor. Watch this from CBS.
John Fetterman can now wear his signature shorts and hoodie on the U.S. Senate floor, thanks to a change in Senate policy.
Yeah, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer quietly made that change, telling the Sergeant of Arms to no longer enforce the dress code.
In a statement to CBS News, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer said that senators are able to choose what they wear on the Senate floor.
I think that this most recent move by Senator Schumer is clearly designed to, accommodate one senator, Pennsylvania's own Senator John Fetterman. It is serious work that they're doing in the Senate. You're not gardening, you're running the nation.
Of course, dress standards have changed everywhere, from the office worker to the television reporter out in the field.
Amazing, huh? Because they have to do it that way because you can't control a moral people or moral person, you have to demoralize them to control them. And that's what they're doing. The world gone crazy. It really, really is. And it's so clear now why it is that way. And because of that, the people are setting themselves up and others are setting them up in order to create a socialist, communist society in America. And they are working overtime to do it. And apparently socialism, communism has been in the making. We already knew it was in other parts of the world, but it's been in the making in America for a long time. It didn't just start with the civil rights movement. It was already in the making. And one thing just led to another one. And because you're divided, most people are not working on themselves to become whole, to become one. Because you're divided within, it's easy to use other people outside of you and get you fighting and all that, and you're divided without. Whatever is happening, you can tell what's happening inside of a person because they act the same way on the outside. They're divided. And they want you divided. They want you angry. They want you frustrated. They want you afraid. If you really, really, really want to be free in life, I'm telling you, neither accept or reject what you hear. Just keep your glass empty, and you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. But if you fill your glass with accepting or rejecting, you never will know the truth, and you never will be free on the inside. You got to work on you. You're being played. Remember when they were taken down during the Black Lives Matter rioting, when they were burning down the city and destroying everything, statues and monuments. And they were taking down statues and putting up Afro pics. And George Floyd, an unemployed reporter and drug addict who had been in jail according to the report, they put his statue up. Not the great man, white man who founded and created the greatest country. They put up nothing. Daddy, who is that? Oh, that's George Floyd. Oh, what did he do? Did he create America? Did he help with the Constitution? No, son. He was a criminal. And according to the report, a drug addict. He had a criminal record, drug addict. Oh, I want to be that, Daddy. Fox is reporting that New York City Council is planning to consider a series of measures that will remove statues of historical figures like George Washington and create a reparation task force. Watch this from Fox.
Council is advancing a bid to remove statues of controversial historical figures.
Yeah, this would include figures such as George Washington, who knew he was controversial, Thomas Jefferson, Peter Stuyvesant, and Christopher Columbus. We've heard these conversations before. This seems like it's going just a little bit further.
A conversation that's been occurring for years, and some historical statues like Columbus himself here at Columbus Circle on the chopping block once again. Not only that, the City Council is looking to create a reparations task force. So the council's Cultural Affairs Committee will be holding a public hearing in a few hours. It is seeking legislation to remove all statues that depict a person who owned slaves, directly benefited from slavery, who participated in systemic crimes against indigenous peoples, or other crimes against humanity. This would include figures such as George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Peter Stuyvesant, who's the Dutch governor and New York settler, and Christopher Columbus, all who have statues throughout the city. If a statue cannot be removed, an explanatory plaque will go up next to it. Critics say removing the statues is going too far.
And replace it with what? Reparations. Reparation now and reparation forever. And how would that solve the problem of the blacks? You take down the great men who made it possible for the blacks to be in a great country. You take it down the statue and give the black people money, and that would solve the problem. How? You can take down all the statues in America, and you can give black people all the free stuff in America, and they still not going to be happy. It's not going to solve the problem. But they're doing it because they want the blacks and others to go along with them, making the blacks and others think that they're going to get something for nothing. And somehow or another, it's going to make their life better, and it won't. So the city councils in New York want to tear down the statues or put a little plaque that says, if they can't take the statue down, these are racist people. And they're going to feel so good about themselves. They're going to have parties after that. And they're going to get reparations. And they're going to give a handful of the blacks a little of that, and they'll keep the rest for themselves. But the blacks will be happy for a minute, and then they realize, I'm still conflicted on the inside. I'm still afraid. I have no peace. What the? And in the meantime, they will be under control. That's what happened with the so-called civil rights movement. They gave blacks stuff. They sold them to the Democratic Party. They became the head of the blacks. The blacks thought they were getting something. And they are under control. They're being controlled. ABC has reported that Illinois becomes the first state to eliminate cash bail and Pre-Trial Fairness Act. Illinois become the first state to eliminate cash bail as Pre-Trial Fairness Act take effect. Watch this compilation. It's going to blow your mind. And watch who in charge. All the wrong people in the right places to make sure that my country never return. Watch this.
Judges now make a choice to determine if the accused is a threat to the community, then they hold him in jail. If not, the suspect is set free with a promise that he or she will return for a court date.
The federal government, the Federal Department of Justice, did a number of studies over the last couple of decades, and it showed that if you're poor, if you're African American or Latino, and if you're a woman, you found yourself being jailed longer with higher bail for less egregious crimes.
The money bond system wrongly tied access to financial resources to pretrial freedom. The result has been countless individuals, mostly from black and brown communities, spending days, weeks, months, years in jail just for being poor.
Is that this system that has been the status quo for so long, that disproportionately impacted poor black and brown people, was fought so hard to maintain its status quo because it impacted poor black and brown people.
And look how the males are standing behind the devil. The males are standing there with the devil. They're afraid of mama. And the mama is lying. Black and brown. The brown people, which are referring to the Mexicans, I guess, they don't want to be a part of this mess. They don't even like the blacks. But they include the black and brown. Everybody but the white folks, right? Black and brown, and now they're saying women. And you fall for the lie. Because you're emotional. You have fear. And you fall for the lie. See how all the wrong people in the right places to make sure that my country never returns eliminated cash bail. The whole state. White folks, y'all better run to the farmlands. And then when you get out there, you got to put a big wall up. And then put guards around the wall. If you doubt me, check with the whites in South Africa. It's happening here in my country. Who would have thought? But it is happening. May God have mercy on my country. If ever we needed you, Lord, we need you now. And black people, you should stop letting people like that use you for destruction by black and brown and being fair. That's a lie. You can see the evil in those people's eyes. They're lying. And men, you're not supposed to be standing behind the woman. It's supposed to be the other way around. It's supposed to be the other way around. It ain't going to work that way. They standing behind the woman. I want to encourage you, without trying to remember it, I want to encourage you to read and I'm not like a Bible thumper, but I want to encourage you to read the New Testament. And if you are, quote unquote, a seeker, you're going to understand the New Testament like never before in your whole life. If you're truly seeking, because you're going to seek with different eyes from within and not from without. The New Testament is it. It's everything that we're supposed to become, to overcome and become. If you want to live in this world and have perfect peace, while there's nothing but chaos and confusion going on around you, outside of you, around you. It's crazy how in that, when you're blind, you don't know it's been done. You could read the Testament, the New Testament, and still be blind to it because you need the light of the Father to give you understanding, knowing about what you're reading. But you trust the intellect, which is of your father, the devil. And you read these things, and while you're reading them, if you're not careful, the voices in your head that sound like you, and you think they're from God, will interpret what you're reading, and that's all the further you'll get with it. But if you just let it go by, the thoughts of what you're reading go by, don't hold on to it, you always want your life, and I'm about to tell you this, don't try to make that happen. It has to happen on its own as you overcome it. But you always want your life to be empty. You're always letting go of what you think is life. Until there's no life at all, then there's life. And it's not anything that you can imagine. You have to live this. Old nature must die, and it will if you work on it. Meaning, watch it. You got to let go of the anger. An angry life is the old nature that leads to destruction. If the angry life is good, why isn't it working? But life is about letting go. It is not about adding on to. The problem with adding on to, it just makes you worse. Because you hear the world tell you, you need to be rich. You need to have a college degree. You need to live over here. You need to live over there. You need to do this. You need to read that and act this way. And you've been told that ever since you popped out of your mama's womb, and you've forgotten the real simple way of just living. Needing and wanting nothing or no one. You forgot about that. And now you're reaching out to try to fulfill all your needs, and they go unfulfilled because everything you use to fill it doesn't work. You need more, or a new one, or more excitement, more sadness. People love sadness. I've never realized how much people love sadness and suicidal thoughts and loneliness and depression. And if you try to tell them they can have peace on earth, they're not going to believe you. No, you get that when you die. I'm like, what? I wouldn't be taking that risk. But read the New Testament when you get a wild hair. It is about letting go. 1 John 2:15 says, love not the world. Love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. But if any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him. And what do everybody do? They go out and love the world. Romans 12:2 said, and be not conformed to the world, but transformed by the renewing of your mind. All thoughts are all lies all the time about anything. And the thoughts that you get when you read the Bible are all lies. And their minds are never renewed. And so they live in the darkness of their mind, and they're just walking around like a wild animal in a cage. and they think the next cell block is where the answer is, and it's not. The answer to life is not in the mind at all. The answer to your situations, you're never going to get the answer to overcome situation out of thoughts. It just ain't going to happen. All it's going to do is add on to it, but make you think that the next situation is bad. The next husband, the next wife, more children, a red state or a blue state or this or that. And you get there, and because it's with you, it's still you, you're still screwed up. You need a renewed mind. And it can be renewed, but you can't do it. I can't do it. I would suggest you take time to yourself. Just kind of read the New Testament, but don't remember it. Don't try to remember it. You have something, you have someone great that will remember on your behalf. And it will not be intellectual. John 16:3 says, "These things I have spoken unto you, that in me you might have peace. In the world you shall have tribulation. But in me, which is Christ, God, through him, God, you can have peace right here on earth. And everybody around you will be having tribulations. And in their mind, they would be thinking that you're having it too, but you're not. And you're like, what the? And you look at them, and they're trying to inflict their tribulation upon you, and it won't work, but they won't know it. Or they might think, well, something a little different about him or her. I tried to hurt them, and it didn't work. I even built an army against them, and it didn't work. What the? Because that's what angry, evil people do. They'll try to inflict their tribulation upon you. And speaking of pot, this pot, you can smell it driving up and down the road. You can smell it. It's too strong. It makes you high without smoking, just smelling it. I'm like, what the? What the? I would be careful with this pot they got out there today. Now, they put it seems something else in that pot. That ain't pot. Pot is not supposed to smell like that. I remember what I reflect. I remember once when I used to smoke pot a little bit. I've never been a good pot smoker because I couldn't tell. I would feel insecure if I was high, right? So I never really been a big time pot smoker. But there used to be normal pot, quote unquote. And I remember once I had a bunch of friends over, and we were all partying, and some family members that was older than me stopped by my house. I didn't know they were coming. What the? And I went to the door, and they were there. I'm like, whoa, my family members are here. So I ran to the other door, and I started, brushing it. Open the door so this pot odor can go out, and they wouldn't smell it. And it was so mild at that time, back then, in the good old days, that you can wave out the pot odor. Now you can't do that. You need a lawnmower blower to blow out the odor. If your family member stop by. But anyway, anyone that has anger is a murderer. And that's true. I don't care if it's your parents, your siblings, your friends, your co-worker, your president, your congressperson, your senator, the drug addicts on the streets, your wife, your husband, the drug addict on the streets, the homeless people, whatever. The Gentile, the Jew, the Christian, the Allahu Abba, the rabbi, the Pope, and the Pope is chick. And you trust no one by not trusting them. When you don't trust them, then there's no reason not to trust them. You know what I mean? You just live your life. The heart is wicked. And once you start to wake up, you're going to see, it's going to be shocking. First, you're going to see your own heart and how shocking that is. Then you see the hearts of others, and it will blow your mind. You will be like, what the? and the world gone crazy. Look around you. I saw a quick ad this morning, and it says something like, Republicans for Ukraine. So I paused, and I'm standing there looking at this commercial thing play, Republicans for Ukraine. And they were encouraging our country to send even more money to Ukraine and warplanes and things like that. And I saw where the little Ukrainian man came over here, male came over, for more money and warplane. It was just all about that. It's not about anything else. And then I couldn't believe who decided to get these people, so-called Republicans, to do an ad and call it Republicans for Ukraine. Can you get any blinder and dumber than that? How about getting together doing an ad, Republicans for America? Republicans for shutting down the border. Republicans for bringing back police. Bringing back bail bonds. Bringing back oil drilling. Bringing back jobs. How about Republicans be for that? So my producer just gave me this from the Blaze. 4 Republican senators have signed a letter urging President Joe Biden to send missile system to Ukraine. Tom Cotton, Lindsey Graham, Susan Collins of Maine, and Roger Wicker of Mississippi. M-I, cricket letter, I, cricket letter, I, humpback, I. That's how you spell Mississippi. All those people need to be voted out. Vote them out. They're for Ukraine. They're not for you. But so I guess some people are celebrating Halloween already, all for the thrill of it. Breitbart is reporting that a Louisiana man in the Bucktown area of New Orleans is in hot water with his neighbors due to his extremely bloody Halloween declarations. Watch this compilation.
A controversial Halloween display is turning heads in Bucktown with less than 50 days to Halloween. Some neighbors are calling for it to be removed. We do want to warn you, some might find these images offensive.
Vic Miarana has been building this Halloween display by hand for a year.
These are our parishioners here.
Miarana says their Bucktown home turns heads every year, but this time,
so we have a little religious theme here.
It's also sparked controversy.
We wanted to make people scared, to make them a little uncomfortable.
The decorations depict a beheaded Jesus flanked by a nun and priest. Jesus's head is in the hands of Satan.
It's appalling.
In a word, it's blasphemy.
I decorate. We all have scary stuff. This just is crossing the line.
The neighbor next door said he doesn't see any issue with the decorations.
Every year he goes way overboard on trying to make these displays. Everybody seems to like it, except a few people.
Is it protected under free speech? Yeah, but does that make it right? You know, that's my real question.
Since the post went viral, Mariana says he and his then-girlfriend parted ways after she received numerous threats about losing her job.
My girlfriend of 3 years has been harassed and online bullied with her and her family business, and due to that, she asked me to have this removed.
Do you see yourself ever taking it down?
Absolutely not.
Amazing. What do you think about that? Have you seen that, Hassan?
I had not.
What do you think of it?
I mean, it's very interesting.
In what way?
I don't know. It's just interesting because there's a part of me that definitely feels a way about it. But then there's a part of me that's like, well, he does have the right to do it, and he's got the freedom to do it on his property. And if he wants to do that, then I mean, there's a part of me that, but I don't want to overreact, but there's a part that's like, that's, you're going a little, being a little overboard there. It is a little disrespectful. It's a little.
A little what?
A little disrespectful.
Disrespectful in what way?
I mean, the whole, decapitated Jesus and having the, it's just a little. It's not even that it's too much, because I'm all for going overboard, but it's like, it's just in poor taste. But
in poor taste in what way?
It's just like it's not even artistic. Like, even if he wants to be artistically like a Satanist or something like that, you could do that in a way to where at least it aesthetically is like, like artsy. It doesn't have to be so just overtly vulgar. Like, it's not even. It's just silly at that point, I think, kind of.
It's overtly vulgar.
It's just a little overtly vulgar, and not even in a creative way. It's just so blatantly like, well, okay, I guess.
And it's overtly vulgar in what way?
In a disrespectful kind of just like.
What's the disrespectful part of it? Maybe because I'm black and slow. I'm just trying to understand.
Yeah, I mean, just the whole like. Okay, of course, there's been religious things that tie into Halloween, and that's fine, I guess. But just the whole Jesus decapitated and Satan holding the head like that and the blood. It's just too much.
I think that was him, because he said he's not taking it down. His girlfriend left him because she got threats at her business, her job.
Yeah, he looks like a white man, but I mean,
he did sound kind of southern white, but he looked about a little bit.
Oh yeah,
especially when I saw the head thing holding.
Yeah, it looks like he's a Satanist and a pentagram-ist kind of guy. But
according to my producer, he said he grew up Catholic.
Well, that's understandable. I mean, but yeah, I don't know. It's
That's
just
understandable. And what do you say about it?
I think that their cities should be able to impose on homes not to be all nasty and vulgar like that. You know how
Nasty
the
and
city
vulgar like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know how the cities don't let you paint your houses a wild color? I don't know if you're aware of that.
I didn't know that.
In some places you can, in some places you can't. Some of the Mexicans like to paint their houses wild colors, like purple and pink and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
Bright orange. And other places like, no, some of them are very strict. I mean, there's homeowners associations that are ridiculous. But I don't really like Halloween displays anyway.
Why not?
Because this type of thing is it's gross.
What?
It's gross.
In what way?
In that it's meant to be scary and meant to look like death or ghosts or stuff like that. When I was growing up, nobody decorated for Halloween.
They didn't?
They would dress up. They wouldn't decorate, though. They would have a jack-o'-lantern.
You're right about that. I forgot that at one point Christians didn't really celebrate Halloween.
They would celebrate it. Some of yeah, you're right.
They didn't put up all that stuff, and I remember I went to this last church I used to be a member of. They would encourage the Christians to go to church that day or night rather than.
Yeah, they would do the harvest thing instead of
right.
But no, when I was growing up,
get candy and stuff.
We would build haunted houses indoors though. And we would we would take over a room from my grandma's house and build a haunted house. And you go through it and there's noises and it's dark and all kinds of scary things. So that's fun. But when it's outside like that, it's kind of, it isn't Christian. I don't know. I never saw it.
Did you say he was a Christian?
This guy?
No, that guy, yeah.
He was a recovering Catholic, meaning he's an atheist.
That's what he said?
He was a former Catholic, right? Didn't he grow up Catholic? Somebody said he grew up Catholic.
Oh, yeah. My producer told me he said he grew up Catholic.
And it was the young man, right? The older man, next door neighbor is fine with it.
Right.
He says, most people are fine with it. Yeah. Only a few people.
So what was wrong with the display with the blood, Satan holding the bloody head of Christ?
Just as gross.
And everybody sitting around with blood there in the...
I don't see it as blasphemous like these people are saying. I don't even necessarily see it as overly disrespectful to like a religion. I know that he's going for that. Like he's kind of has some antagonism. He wants people to feel uncomfortable towards, because he was Catholic and a lot of Catholics are traumatized. They turn atheist.
Oh.
Somebody said normal trajectory. Chef Gummy D said normal Catholic trajectory. And people are overreacting to it. Zeus in the chat said they should just ignore it. And what you resist persists. You're feeding his drive to keep on doing this. He's been building it all year.
Every year.
No, all year he's been building
He's
that.
been working hard. And so you just see it as gross.
I strictly see it as just gross.
Oh. And
Blood
why do
and
you
guts
think
and
he
stuff
did
like
it? I mean, though you don't know why you think he did it.
Because he's an artist. And
Hassan said the artists are the worst kind.
Yeah, Hassan wasn't.
He's not
thought that
pleased.
it wasn't very. It's funny because Hassan's talking about disrespectful and overboard. Like he's one to talk. And
I know. Have you seen his show?
But he's doing it for the thrill of it, like you say.
Absolutely. That's what I'm saying. This
Yeah.
guy only did it. He's doing that for the thrill of it. And because the people are reacting to it, overreacting to it, next year he's going to do even worse.
Yeah.
Really. And because he wants the thrill of it. That's all it's about.
And and the other people overreacting are thrilled about
They're
it too.
getting the thrill from overreacting.
They're on TV and
yeah, they feel holy. It's blasphemy, so they feel non-blasphemy.
yeah. Even though they have scary stuff up too.
Yeah, it's all for the thrill of it.
Yeah.
The world lives off thrills.
It's like the people overreacting to John Fetterman, being all overly casual,
right?
Looking like a slob.
Yeah. And John loving it.
Yeah.
And his wife loving it, letting him do it.
Oh, yeah.
It's all for the thrill of it.
Terrible.
Anyone that has anger lives off thrills. That's why they go after one another. That's why they form armies against you. They do crazy things like this guy's doing in the yard. It's all for the thrill of it.
He's so committed. He's more committed to that than his girlfriend.
His girlfriend left him, but the thrill of what he got from all it is worth more than the girlfriend.
So, somebody said, I like that he didn't take it down for his girlfriend, though. I do like the fact he kept the display despite his girlfriend leaving.
He loved the thrill more than he loved his girlfriend.
Cartoon for Food said that. His ego will not let him remove the display.
No.
Yeah.
And y'all wait until next year. He's going to have the blood running down the sidewalk with Jesus' head floating in it.
Yeah.
Amazing.
No, people will go extreme.
Yeah.
It's like the pro-abortion people who start celebrating and shouting their abortions and being like,
because they love the thrill of the people who are against abortion.
Yeah.
And these people, it's like devils fighting one another. And so the people who are for abortion, they make videos, I love killing my baby.
Yeah.
And then the people who are quote unquote against abortion, they're like totally overreacting.
Right.
Not knowing that they're giving energy to the abortion people, and the abortion people are giving energy to the non-abortion people.
Yeah.
And devils are fighting one another.
There's these conservatives who show all these gross transgender and drag queen things looking like demons.
Yeah.
And it's like they're totally what Nick, American Anchor Baby, says, signal boosting.
Yeah.
And it's like gross. I don't even want to see that.
Yeah. I saw on Jesse Waters' program where the mayor of out here in California, up there in that nice Armenian neighborhood.
Glendale. Or Burbank.
Burbank.
Yeah.
One of those areas up there.
Yep.
Allow a drag queen to make him lean over and paddle him with a piece of wood.
Yeah.
And he's like so thrilled about it. And he's excited about it because of people overreacting to it.
Yeah.
So that's what that's all about. What a mess.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. Anyway,
and people think that they're fighting for righteousness, but it's totally just their own.
To do with righteousness.
Yeah, self-righteousness.
It has everything to do with evil.
Yeah,
it really does.
I was calling about the news clip you showed early in the show out from New Orleans with the guy with the Halloween decorations.
Oh yeah.
But for me, like, I understand how you said it, is that some people, for him, it's his expression. And to me, it's an expression of anger that he has with himself and with God. But I forgive him,
Yes.
I understand.
Yeah.
But it doesn't react to me. And that's something that, like, when you talk about, I know Hake talked about how it was gross, but to me, it's not so much about the grotesqueness. To me, it shows the grotesqueness that's on the inside.
Yes.
That when you are not listening to the Father, He's telling you He's there, and every time He's there, He sees it and He just allows it. But the people, the believers, instead of being doers, instead of forgiving the man and just going on about their lives, they just continue to get outrage over it. And so it's like you said, they're two devils fighting.
Yeah.
And
amazing, man. Very mamma mia, good point. You're absolutely right. I don't know if it's unfortunate, but there are people who love being slaves. That's why they overreact like that. They want a thrill. They want to be a slave. And then if anyone try to escape slavery, then you become the enemy because they want everyone else enslaved with them. But that's what it is, man. They just love it. They love the thrills they get from reacting and overreacting and judging and hurting and all that. It's all about the thrill of it. My producer, Sean, is here, and he gave me a couple clips that he want me to react to. I haven't seen them yet. Am I right?
That's right.
And you want me to react to them?
Yeah, quick little thing. We can move through them.
It's Friday. Let's just get clip number 1 there from X.
Want to be honest, the most romantic thing somebody did for me, it was my first boyfriend. I was just in high school. He was a little older than me, and it was Valentine's Day. I'll never forget. He robbed somebody and gave me the money and gave me the bill he stole, and it was just so sweet because he was out of breath and stuff. He's like, "Here, I just got this for you." I was like, "Oh, so sweet. Thank you." Because nobody never did nothing like that for me. He stole for me, so I'm like, "Oh, you did that for me, really?" What? And that's the first time somebody ever had got me a gift or tried to do something for me. But I was so, it was sweet.
Wow. So her boyfriend robbed somebody and gave the money to her, and she think that was sweet?
Right.
What a beta he was. Wow.
Beta thief. Yep.
That is insane.
Right. So she's like a rapper. She's a pretty well-known rapper, and her songs are like insanely, vulgar.
I bet.
Yeah.
She up there saying that was sweet.
Yeah, it's a nice romantic Valentine's Day
it's
story.
It's all about her and nothing about him.
Yeah, it's
she
sweet.
She doesn't care about him at all.
It's so. I wonder if the guy who got it stolen from thinks it's sweet. I probably not.
I doubt it.
He probably doesn't think it's too sweet.
He probably like, what? No.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do number 3 there, Hassan.
Don't you snatch that from her. Don't do that again. Yeah, knock it down. Tear it up. Yep, and step on it. And Karen's just going to have to deal with it. The f***. Oh. Yep, knock all of it down. Good girl. Very good, Naoki. And grab it and tear it up. Oh, well. Tear it up again.
Wow. An evil mother teaching her daughter to be evil at that age.
Tear it up. Good job. And this whole Karen thing, Karen.
Right, they call white people Karen.
White females, it's Karen. Karen is the name for. White people use it too for white females, but it's not good.
That is pure evil. And then when that girl grow up, she's going to be a thug, ended up in prison. They're going to blame it on racism.
And the mom's going to say, I didn't do anything wrong.
Right.
I just raised her.
It's racism.
Yeah.
Have you had the talk yet? Remember the mother teaching the children and the father?
They say,
black fathers.
You're going to have to try twice as hard and when you get pulled over, they're going to treat you differently. And yeah, like I said, you know, Gavin McInnes, he says the talk is child abuse. That's what it is.
It is. It's evil.
Yeah.
And then they blame it on the whites and call the little white girl Karen, and she's not even thinking about anything.
And cursing in front of the kids. What? She's 3. The other one's maybe 5, and she's using the F-bomb and cursing in front of the kids, teaching the kid to destroy.
There are 2 most evil places for children.
Yep.
In the mother's womb and being raised by a mother. Danger zones. That is evil, folks. Now do you see that has nothing to do with racism? 0. That little innocent black girl, the little innocent white girl, got this evil mother. I told you the devil is the god of the woman.
Right.
And that little black girl wouldn't have thought anything about it had not the mother did what she did.
Right.
She traumatized her daughter right
Yeah,
there.
she would have shared. She would have been fine.
And the little white girl would have too.
Yeah.
Here's clip 4. What a mess.
People get mad when I say this, but you could tell you out here with the white folks. Because everything is out. Ain't no niggas standing around begging, can I pump your gas? And they even got the snacks out. Look. You can get your snacks and get it yourself. You can't do that in the hood. They won't have that out in the hood. Look, oil and everything. Them niggas will steal this shit as soon as they put it out. It ain't about living white. It's about living right.
Yep. Wow, deep.
Yep.
It ain't about living white. It's about living right.
Mm-hmm. I don't know where exactly that was, you know, but let's just say, for the sake of conversation, he was like a truck driver, and he stopped in the middle of Idaho,
right.
you know, Des Moines, Idaho, or something.
Well, I'm glad.
Yeah.
Not to cut you off, go ahead. I'm glad he did say where it was located, because the blacks will go there and steal that stuff.
They're on their way right now.
I'm glad he didn't cite the location.
Yeah.
All that stuff out in the open like that, it'll be over. They'll do their social media stuff, and it'll be over.
Yep. What Hake would call a high trust society. We don't have a high trust society anymore. We do, but just in small little pockets.
Small little pieces.
Yep.
What? No.
Yep.
Amazing. Thank you, man.
Yeah, no problem.
One of the experts and my producer, Sean, there. Thank you, Sean.
Yeah.